car flipping has gotten insane. Flipping cars for profit has absolutely ruined the new car market. It has absolutely gutted it because a new car comes out, and you might say, well, yeah, that's just supercars. That's just this $200,000 Corvette. No, it isn't.
From Olympic City and the home of Pikes Peak, this is the Automotive ADHD Show with Matt West.
And here we are, rocking it on the Automotive ADHD Show. Matt West here, hanging out with you, talking cars. I've got more tariff talk. A new 25% tariff is going to go into effect here in a matter of days, and this further compounds things from my discussion on this show a few weeks ago about the tariffs. This is going to add more to that, and we're going to discuss my predictions and how I think things are going to change. So we're going to get to that. A TikToker, by the way, got a free car from Carvana. I'll discuss how that happened and why it will probably happen again. And Chevy says they will void your warranty on a new ZR1 for one reason. And I think this is a good thing, actually. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'll tell you why. And I have a special car sound announcement specifically for the giveaway portion of it. This is going to be really cool. You want to stick around for that, and you want to stick around for some new car sounds. I got a fresh batch of car sounds from you, and I can't wait to share them. It's going to be a ton of fun. Of course, you can catch this show in all sorts of great places. Maybe you're cruising around Colorado Springs right now listening to this on the radio, AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer. We also re-air later in the evening on KGFT 100.7, as well as 91.7 KLZR all across southern Colorado. But you might also catch the show on video too, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and more. And by the way, if you're listening or watching on Spotify, remember to give this show a 6-star rating. You can do that. Blow it up. 6 stars. This show, of course, is sponsored by you, the listener. Yes, you. So go ahead and give it those 6 stars right there. If it doesn't let you give it 5 stars or 6, give it 5. Give it 5. So anyway, I want to give you an update on some of my automotive exploits. I have actually spent a little bit of time this week working on cars, not just talking about cars. You can see if you're watching on video, the S2000 has moved like 6 feet over that way in the garage. It's impressive, actually, a whole 6 feet. And you can see it on the video there. The bumper is attached, and it is now the correct color. It's not a different color. It matches the rest of the car now. So, yeah, people can stop griping at me for having mismatched body panels. Well, most of them match. So, anyway, that car has seen some effort. I've put a big push into it because I need to finish it before I do anything on the AE86. If you've been following along with the show, you know that I sold out to the collectors. I mean, I sold my engine to somebody who needed an engine, probably. Anyway, so the AE86 is without an engine. I have a new engine and a new transmission, and but I can't work on it because the S2000 isn't running and driving. So I need to fix the S2000 so I can put the 86 where I need it. Then I can. You see, this is the complicated web of worries and issues that I weave for myself. I can't work on one car because the other car is broken and taking up the space, so I got to fix that car. Oh, well, the fact that my driveway has more cars in it than it should. So, and thankfully, the property management here hasn't called ICE on me yet. So they threatened to the first time because they thought so many people, they thought I was harboring illegals because of how many cars were parked in front of my house. No. And plus, even if I was harboring illegals, they would probably have better taste in cars than I do. So, but the update on the S2000, it's less of an update and more of me being really dumb when working on it, which is most of the time. It really is. The disclaimer at the beginning of this show, my podcast listeners don't hear it, but the disclaimer on the radio. Oh, opinions are that of the host and do not reflect that of, Salem Media or its affiliates. Also, questionable mechanical advice is included free of charge. It does say that in the disclaimer, and this is precisely why. Because I got the S2000. It runs right now, but it doesn't drive necessarily. I had to start it and burp the coolant in it, by the way, get all the air bubbles out of it. But I noticed it sounded like it had this tremendous exhaust leak. I couldn't figure out why. It sounded like a tractor. And I thought, what's going on? Maybe the custom exhaust manifold for the K24 has an issue. It's a stock exhaust manifold with the flange cut off and a K24 flange welded onto it. So it's a stock S2000 manifold, and it's been modified. So I thought, maybe there's a crack in one of the welds or something. And so I start troubleshooting that. No, the welds everything looks good. It doesn't look like it leaks. I don't know what's going on. So I keep troubleshooting. And I probably spent 2 hours, 2.5 hours even, over 2 days, maybe like an hour each day trying to troubleshoot why it sounded so bad and was also smoking me out of the garage. It was terrible. And so then I went and I thought, well, maybe the exhaust flange hardware, those little spring bolts that go down where it goes to what used to be the catalytic converter. Don't tell anyone I'm not running a catalytic converter on that. That's a secret, by the way, between, you and me, obviously. Anyway, so I put new bolts in there. Didn't fix it. Okay, maybe the gasket's bad. It's this kind of flange gasket that's made out of this soft kind of graphite-like material. I was like, okay, I'll put a new one of those in there. Put a new one of those in there. Nope, that doesn't work. Tighten down the wideband sensor, which is in the test pipe, or did I say that out loud? What used to be the catalytic converter, not the catalytic converter anymore. Anyway, I check all of that. Nope, none of it. I can't find this darn exhaust leak. It doesn't make sense. It's driving me nuts. I'm hallucinating partially because it's smoking me out of the garage. I'm getting carbon monoxide poisoning while I'm doing all of this. And so I have one of my buddies start the car while I go on the outside and look underneath it. And I see a little bit of smoke coming from kind of the section before, like right at the collector. And I'm like, what? Okay, I don't know what's going on here. So I'm getting frustrated. We shut the car off and I see a little bit more smoke, some unburnt fuel out of there. Also, because there's no tune on the car, really. It's running at like 10 to 1 AFR at idle right now. So it's a little smoky. It's a little nasty. And I finally realized after crawling on my back underneath the car, maybe another 5, 6, 7 minutes down there, I see the smoke coming from the top of the manifold where it goes to the collector. There shouldn't be anything there. And tell you what, here's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to roll a video clip if you're watching online, and we're gonna play this right there. Look at this. Now, for my listeners on radio, I'll sort of narrate it. So we're looking at what's not the catalytic converter anymore. Those are the new bolts I put in. There's the new gasket, and here we see where it comes down to the collector. And wait, look, you can't see it from any other angle. If you look at it just right, and you can see a little bit of smoke coming out of it. Yeah, that's the hole where the O2 sensor went. Yeah, and I'm pointing at it there in the video now. I'm pointing at not the catalytic converter now. That's the wideband sensor there. So that's the factory O2 sensor location on the top there. And because the car's on a standalone ECU, it's not like I'm getting a code for no O2. I've got an aftermarket wideband in the mid-pipe. So anyway, all of that troubleshooting, all of that hassle, all of that carbon monoxide poisoning, all of that said and done, there was the stock O2 sensor location on that manifold. Yeah, it was just open. That's why. Yeah, I know. I'm a genius, by the way, obviously. I mean, really. And, I even have some show and tell here. Here, let me grab this. This is there we go. This is another exhaust manifold. Again, radio listeners, just pretend that you can see this pipe wrapped in some heat tape. So, yeah, you can see even on this one. This one's got 2 bungs for the O2 sensor. Again, probably a factory O2 in a wideband. This is an aftermarket manifold. It's a really nice one. You might be saying, why didn't you use this one? Why did you modify the stock exhaust for the K24? Mostly because this one was kind of expensive, and I hope to shill it off to somebody on Facebook Marketplace for more than I paid for the modified manifold. So anyway, yeah, right there. That guy, that hole, needs a sensor in it or a plug. Go figure. You should really really consider heavily when you take mechanical advice from me. So, anyway, you know what? Learn from my mistakes. I do stupid things so you don't have to. That's my job here. You're listening to the Automotive ADHD Show. Coming up after the break, we're talking tariffs. What do they mean for you and me and the whole industry? That's right here on Automotive ADHD. Don't go anywhere. Breathe. Just, oh man. Oh, that was good. I gotta love the sound of that. I know that wasn't a car. I know that. And you know why? Because here on the Automotive ADHD Show, we love our two-wheeled brethren. Even though they were born with two less wheels than the rest of us, they are still a part of the family. We still love them. That was Landon's 2005 Honda CBR600F, tuned on the dyno, pushing 110 horsepower. If you're used to car stuff, you might go, 110 horsepower. That's not that much. My AE86 on a good day probably made 130. And it still felt fast and fun. Now, granted, I was really good at getting gapped by minivans, but I digress. The fact is that motorcycle makes almost the same amount of horsepower, and instead of weighing 2,300 pounds, it weighs like 300 pounds. So, yeah, put that into perspective right there. And yeah, thanks, Landon, for sending that in. Landon, you, by the way, have some stuff headed your way. Some stickers, some other goodies, some other goodies, which I don't have sitting right here in front of me at the moment. But there is some other good stuff headed your way right now. And this is a cool opportunity to announce the new Automotive ADHD Show car sound giveaway. This one's special for the month of April. You know, I've been doing this car sound giveaway thing pretty much since I started the show. You send me car sounds on my Facebook page, facebook.com/automotive ADHD. I play them here on the show, and then I pick somebody at random every month to get cool stuff. Usually it's the sticker, the Automotive ADHD keychain, and a $25 parts store gift certificate. But we're upping the ante. Yes, we are. I've talked about it a few times on the show, and it is finally here. I'm going to do a drum roll on the desk. There we go. The 24-karat gold-plated Icon ratchet. I have it in my hands. It's in a beautiful display case. It's got like a felt box it sits in with this gorgeous cover that goes on top of it. I mean, just look at this thing. This is gorgeous. Can we get that on camera there to look a little bit better? Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. And it's the long handle one too. Special edition, 90-tooth, low profile, 3/8 drive ratchet. And again, in genuine 24-karat gold. This is amazing. Now, it's not solid gold, probably because I don't think the gold would be strong enough, frankly. It would probably break. So yeah, it is plated gold, but it is plated with real gold. And this thing is gorgeous, and it could be yours. It could be yours. So what you need to do, if you want this sitting in your toolbox, maybe you're a guy who works on cars every day. Imagine this. You open up your toolbox. Everyone sees this thing at the shop, and they think, was that a gold ratchet? Yeah, it's a gold ratchet. You bet it's a gold ratchet. It costs more than your house. It's a gold ratchet. No, it didn't cost that much. But or they'll just think you're kind of pretentious and a little weird for using a gold ratchet. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both. Also, it's too pretty. I mean, honestly, there's already a flaw with my giveaway idea here, which it's too pretty. Like, I wouldn't use this. I'd be afraid to scratch it. So anyway, this could be yours, and it is Icon. I really like Icon, by the way. I think Icon has really stepped up to being a professional level tool. Yeah, I know there's your Snap-on guys out there, and you Snap-on guys, you're built a little different. I get that. You like pain, you like overpaying for stuff, you like being spoon-fed by the tool truck guy. I get it. Some people are into that. That's not me. That might be you. And for the rest of us, there is Icon. And again, this is not Pittsburgh. That's your hobbyist. That's your enthusiast stuff. Icon's actually decent. And I will die on this hill. I think Icon is actually good and is a suitable professional tool. So anyway, facebook.com/automotive ADHD. This will be for the month of April. So send me car sounds. I know this show's technically airing a couple of days before April, but send those car sounds into the show, facebook.com/automotive-ADHD. Put them in the pinned post, and feel free to DM me with them too. Just send them in both places, and I'll pick one winner at random to win the giveaway and get sent this at the end of April. Even if you have sent car sounds in before, send them again. Send more car sounds, because you can. I'm happy to give this thing away. It should be yours. It could be yours. It's gonna be yours. All right. So tariffs. I got to talk a little bit about tariffs here. Also, because I spent 5 minutes swooning over a gold ratchet. This is some news from the Trump administration. And by the way, I'll tell you here in a bit how a dealership has already figured out how to leverage the tariffs to sell you more cars, but for more money and make you think you're getting a deal. Isn't it amazing how dealerships do that? They come up with these amazing ideas. You know, they say every time a car dealer dies, an angel gets their wings. Yeah, this proves it. So we'll get to that. But let's talk about the basics here of the tariffs, okay? So a few weeks ago, I talked about the tariffs in general. I focused, and you can listen to this show on the podcast, I focused in depth on how many cars are really made in the United States and what percentage of those cars have American-made parts. And it would surprise you to know that, well, the Tesla Model 3, the Model Ys, all of those are very American, both in terms of where they're manufactured and where the parts come from that they're manufactured with. That is a big component of it, the supply chain. Followed up by, the Honda Pilot or whatever? Something like that. And then the Honda Odyssey? Yeah, Honda is making the most American car in the U.S. And of course, the Ford F-150 Lightning, the EV one's like the 50th most American car. The regular F-150 is like 57th most American. Look, Mexico imports 3 million cars a year into the United States. And when was the last time you saw a car driving around from a Mexican car company? Think about it that way. Let that sink in. The news, though, this is different now. This is more than the general tariffs I was talking about. Last Wednesday, President Trump has signed an executive order that will impose a 25% tariff on all automotive imports into the United States. And this is actually pretty big. I mean, typically you're going to direct a tariff at a country that you want to change some behavior on, right? But here's the thing. This affects everyone. I mean, this affects all of the cars, not just the ones made in Mexico coming over here. I'm talking to you, Ford and Chevy and Dodge. This affects Hyundai, Kia. This affects your Japanese cars, your Toyotas, some of your Hondas, mostly your Toyotas. Toyota still makes a good number of cars in Japan. It's typically their trucks. You will find that the new Tacomas, the new Tundras are made in Mexico. And there's a whole history behind the chicken tax, essentially a tariff that has been in place for like more than 50 years now. And that's why that we don't get that. That's the entire reason we don't get the Hilux, the Toyota pickup for the rest of the world. We get the Tacoma, different truck, different market, was made in Texas for, a long time. Mine was made in Texas. Now they're made in Mexico. We'll probably see that change, by the way. So this 25% tariff, though, I'll read a quote here. This comes by way of the Daily Wire, quoting President Trump. He says, what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they are made in the United States, there is absolutely no tariff. And his reasoning for this is to bring back, he says his reasoning is to bring back American manufacturing. Now, what does this mean for the car buyer? And there's a little bit of an aspect. I was thinking about this after the other show where I discussed tariffs, and I didn't quite make this point, and I think it's a worthy point of making. I support bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. I absolutely do. Why are the most American car companies that at least come to mind, the big three, why are they all made in Mexico? We need to change that. The other thing, though, is that if you increase, let me put it this way, if you increase tariffs on stuff costs more. The idea with the tariffs is that we bring more jobs back because we make more stuff here. Therefore, more people have more jobs and have more money, even though the goods cost more. But I think there's going to be more to that. I said at the end of the show a few weeks ago, we need to see if the American public will really bear the burden of this. And I think one thing that would help bear that burden is a reduction in taxes elsewhere. Okay, if you just keep throwing these tariffs on, well, that's coming out of your pocket. That's coming out of my pocket. That's coming out of all of our pockets, even for parts. Not even if you're buying a new car. That's even if you're repairing your car. As a guy like me who likes JDM cars, as a guy like Jim Miller, by the way, for example, which, by the way, he is running for city council. Got to get those ballots in before April 1st. Anyway, he's a big JDM guy. This is going to affect us too. But in theory, we should see a big enough break in taxes in other places that impact isn't directly affecting us. That's the theory. That's what I want to see. I want to see at the end of the day, the actual money you have left over shouldn't be affected, and it actually should be greater than it is now. I would say that would be an ideal scenario. Are we going to see that ideal scenario? I don't know. That's a good question. We're gonna find out. We are going to find out. By the way, according to the Daily Wire here's a stat for you. About 45% of vehicles sold in the United States annually are sourced from foreign countries. And that, of course, varies by brand, they say. But they say that car makers such as Volkswagen, BMW, Toyota are expected to be hit much harder than companies such as Tesla. Tesla manufactures a huge amount of vehicles here in the U.S. We know they do. They do it with American parts, too. Not all American parts. Tesla is going to be impacted by this. They don't get every single part from the U.S., but they're probably going to be impacted least by it. Now, Hyundai did announce in response to this that it planned to invest $20 billion in building its manufacturing capacity in the United States. That's already the action that the administration wants to see with the tariffs. That's exactly what they're wanting to see because, well, now instead of building all of these cars in Korea, we're going to build them here. We're going to employ American people. That's good. How long will it take to get this up and running, though? How long? What is the administration going to do to ease that burden on the rest of us while this is happening? And I want to see this be successful. I want to see this be successful, both for your sake, for my sake, all of that. And there's a couple of things that I think are going to happen, though, with the tariffs, especially in the short term right now. Oh, by the way, I have another stat here, too, in my notes. 2.3 million vehicles sold by Toyota in the United States last year. Roughly 1 million of those were built elsewhere, so Japan or wherever. Not all Toyotas are built in Japan, even if they're not built here in the U.S. Toyota Supra, I believe, is made in Austria. It's a BMW Supra. I digress. So anyway, that means 1.3 million vehicles are at least built in the U.S. At least built in the U.S. But I think I've got a couple of predictions here. I think the prices obviously are going to go up. They're obviously going to go up. We're going to see an increase in new car prices. We're going to see an increase in parts prices. Here's the thing, though. I think used car demand is going to increase as well. And as a result, used car supply is going to fall. There's going to be less supply because there's more demand. And that's also going to jack up the prices of used cars. So if you're saying, I'm going to avoid all of the price increases, I'm just going to go on Craigslist and buy a used car. That might work for like 3 or 4 days, but it's going to change. So anyway, there's a car dealership, by the way, who's figured out how to game the system already. Leave it up to those dealers. We're going to talk about that and more after the break.
He's the nut behind the wheel and behind the mic. This is Automotive ADHD with Matt West.
Yes, it is. And if you're just tuning in, maybe you thought this was NPR. Well, I'm not sorry, by the way. No, we're not funded by tote bags or the taxpayers or any of that. But you know what? We do have a car show sponsored by you, the listener. Now, I got to talk about this. Last segment, I was discussing tariffs. I was discussing some of the politics behind it and some of my predictions on what it will do. Those tariffs, by the way, go into effect on April 3rd, and that's a 25% tariff on all cars not made in the United States. And there's car dealerships already lining up to do what car dealerships do best, which is turn anything like this into spin it into a reason why you should buy a car. And this comes by way of the drive. I said this earlier, by the way. Anytime a car dealer dies, an angel gets their wings. This proves it. Subaru in Vernon, Connecticut is offering, quote, pre-tariff savings on its entire inventory of new models. Okay, you got to see this because right here, MSRP on they're listing a 2024 Subaru WRX Premium. I bought one of these, by the way. Mine was the base, still a 24 WRX. I did talk about on this show how I bought it for 10 grand under sticker, and how you can too. Go check that out on the podcast. But MSRP, $36,593. Pre-tariff savings listed right there on the website, $1,497. And this is, look, car dealerships are going to do this. This is funny. So and you got to do the math here. Let's take a look at another one. There's a 2025 Impreza Sport MSRP, $29,385. That drops after our pre-tariff savings to $28,388. So that is a whopping $997 in pre-tariff savings. But here's the thing. Do the math. Let's do the math here, because look at that. 25% of $29,385 is $7,214. So, yeah, not $997. Wait, is this, you know how have you ever heard the phrase girl math? Have you ever heard that phrase before? It's like how women can, maybe twist some numbers and justify things. Well, this is car dealership math. That's what this is. Now, granted, you do have, because even if you bought the car right now for MSRP, that is technically, I guess, $7,000 in pre-tariff savings. Okay, all right, fine. But $997, the math here is just odd. It's very unusual. Now, some of these cars on this dealership's website are also eligible for a $1,497 pre-tariff rebate. Ooh, so you get pre-tariff savings up front, and then you get a rebate later on. It's just, it doesn't seem to matter really what the MSRP is. It's all over the place, but it works, I think. I have a feeling this dealership is going to sell some cars by doing that. I really do. Because the thing is, most of Subaru is made in Japan. There's a lot of Subaru made in Japan, my WRX being one of them. That VIN number starts with a J on it. So it is manufactured in Japan. It will be subject to that 25% tariff here after April 3rd. Good thing for me, I already bought it. Ha! I thought ahead on that one. No, I actually had no idea. I just got lucky. But I really think that car dealerships, never let a good opportunity go to waste. I think there's that. I think there's that first and foremost. Don't let a good opportunity go to waste. Don't do that. If you can advertise this as pre-tariff savings and you can own it, the tariffs are coming down from the presidential administration. But no, it's okay. We're the dealership. We'll give you pre-tariff savings. Always be skeptical, by the way, when a dealership, a salesman specifically, says, "Yeah, what's your monthly?" Always be skeptical. Always be skeptical, because your monthly at a 150-month loan with 30% interest, it still might not be bad. Wouldn't be a wise financial decision, though. Definitely would not be. So I want to talk a little bit here as we get into this. Speaking of dealerships, speaking of cars that will probably see an increase because of the tariffs, the 2025 Corvette ZR1. The 2025 Corvette ZR1 is hotly anticipated. People are chomping at the bit to drop $200,000 on a Corvette. Well, some people are chomping at the bit. I'm not. I don't have $200,000 to spend on a Corvette. So, joke's on you. Anyway, they announced this car in 2024. And these allocations are finally hitting the dealerships. Now, before we talk about how Chevy is going to void your warranty on this car, because they will, and it might actually be a good thing, let's list the lineup here, by the way, because the ZR1 is not the cheapest of the Corvettes. In fact, it's, I think, the most expensive of all of them. And there's a few different trim models here. You've got the 1LZ, so ZR1 1LZ, ZR1 3LZ. Where's the 2LZ? I don't know. They just skipped 2. Chevy guys, jump in the comments if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and let me. What does this all mean? Chevy guys, I need you, because I know ZR1, I know ZR6, Z06, 1LZ. I get that. But where's 2LZ? It just goes straight to 3. Anyway, maybe they had their, maybe they were missing a O2 sensor on their car like I was, and they gave themselves carbon monoxide poisoning. Maybe. Anyway, 1LZ Coupe, that's going to be $174,995. You can get that in a convertible version for another 10 grand. 10 grand to saw the roof off, by the way. That's $184,995. The 3LZ, 185,995. That's the coupe. The convertible, $195,995. $195,995. That's pretty expensive for a Corvette. That's a lot of money. But for that money, you do get a somewhat special Corvette. It's got over 1,000 horsepower, a top speed of over 230 miles per hour. And you will probably never be able to buy one, for one, because of the allocations, and for two, because these Corvettes have there's an embargo on selling them once you buy them. Now, you might be familiar with this if you are at all accustomed to the supercar world, some of the luxury cars. Porsche is famous for this. If you buy a certain Porsche, that's a rare Porsche, they're going to make you sign a contract at the sale of that car that says that you won't sell it within a certain period of time. You don't sell it within that period of time? No problem. You sell it within that period of time, you are now going to be blacklisted from buying more Porsches. This also took a little bit of criticism when Ford did it with the Ford GT, the GT supercar. I think it was John Cena who famously or infamously sold out early on his GT, as well as some other celebrities who did that. And the idea was you sell early, Ford is going to blacklist you from buying more of them. And in this case, Ford might even sue you for selling it. And you might say, how can they sue me for selling my own car? It's my car. Well, it's a breach of contract, really, is what it comes up to being. They said, we'll sell it to you, but you have to sign the contract. So it really doesn't matter if it's your own car or not. You breached the contract. That's its own legal thing. They can sue you for that. And Chevy is now going to do the same thing with the Corvette ZR1. And that is a 1-year retention policy, they say, on this. And I think they're taking it a step further, though, because they are also saying that they will void your warranty for selling it, too. Which, that's a big yikes, because it's an expensive luxury supercar, if you will. Things aren't going to be cheap on it. Parts are not going to be cheap. There's certain parts on that ZR1 that are only for the ZR1 that aren't going to be on any other cars. And that's going to be expensive to fix. Now, when we come back from the break, I want to discuss why I think this is, hear me out, a good thing. Yes, this is a good thing. I'm not crazy. At least I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Coming up here on Automotive ADHD. Don't miss it. We'll be back right here after the break.
Automotive ADHD with Matt West.
Can I even air that? I mean, that feels indecent. That is just straight up automotive mechanical pornography. Oh, man. That's Jake Hines' supercharged Audi A6. He sent those car sounds into the show, and he is also probably going to find some stickers, a keychain, and a few other goodies heading into his mailbox, by the way. Facebook.com/AutomotiveADHD is the place to send those car sounds in. Hey, before the break, I was talking about Corvettes and how Chevy is going to do a 1-year retention policy on the new Corvette ZR1. The ZR1 being the top dog, the fastest 1,000 horsepower. Now, it is, by the way, here's another thing I saw too. It apparently qualifies as a gas guzzler. Yeah, and it gets a gas guzzler tax placed on it per the EPA. When was the last time I talked about abolishing the EPA? I feel like I don't talk about that often enough. Anyway, gas guzzler tax on that. I can't imagine that car with 1,000 horsepower guzzling gas. I just can't imagine that. It doesn't even make any sense. How would it guzzle all that gas with only 1,000 horsepower? I mean, what? It probably gets at least 3 or 4 miles to the gallon when you're flooring it. Look, you're still in the positive here, really, when you think about it. You're still getting miles per gallon. Let that sink in. You're not yet at the point where you're getting gallons per mile. I mean, really, those are rookie numbers. You got to step that up. Gallons per mile or nothing. If it's not getting gallons per mile, it shouldn't get a gas guzzler tax. That's my opinion right there. Anyway, if you have one of these, or well, no one has them right now, but if you are going to get one, if you are going to go drop $200,000 on a Corvette ZR1, just know that apparently if you sell that car before a year has elapsed, you will not only get blacklisted from buying another one, you will also have your warranty voided. And I was saying before the commercial break that that's not good, considering that it's a super special Corvette. It's going to have stuff on it that you really can't get anywhere else. It's not going to share, there are going to be parts you can't just get off of a regular base model Corvette. So that's expensive. If it's out of warranty, that's a very expensive out of warranty experience. And I can't imagine many secondhand buyers are going to want to buy that knowing that, hey, I got this thing that has no warranty. Look, I buy tons of cars without warranties. It doesn't scare me not having a warranty. I've done things to cars that would make them not have warranties anymore. The difference is none of my cars were $200,000. If I paid that kind of money for it, I would probably go, yeah, I think I should have the warranty for that. I think if something breaks and it's the manufacturer's fault, I shouldn't pay for that. Now, you might say legally, how does Chevy do this? How does that not violate different laws relating to warranties? And it all comes down to, again, the contractual obligation that you have entered when you purchased the car. That's really the end of the day. I mean, you signed a contract agreeing to that. That was up front. They have to disclose that. In some way, if they didn't disclose that to you, maybe you'd have a lawsuit on your hands after the fact if they didn't somehow properly disclose it to you. But needless to say, I don't think anyone's going to get blindsided by this. They're going to tell you about it. But it also applies to the Z06 or the E-Ray now. And this is, again, why do I think this is a good idea? This sounds like a terrible idea. This sounds like an infringement on your personal property rights. Legally, no one's actually stopping you from selling it. They're just saying, we will do this if you do sell it. There is that. But I think this is a good thing because of the fact that car flipping has gotten insane. Flipping cars for profit has absolutely ruined the new car market. It has absolutely gutted it because a new car comes out and you might say, well, yeah, that's just supercars. That's just this $200,000 Corvette. No, it isn't. No, I kid you not. Any new car comes out. And I think we should actually do this for even more pedestrian cars. Let's take an example. What's a good example of one that's had? Here we go. GR Corolla. The GR Corolla is like a $50,000 all-wheel drive Corolla with a 3-cylinder turbo. It's a cool car. It's an exciting car. In fact, I would have purchased one had it not been for the fact that my Subaru, brand new, certified pre-owned with 700 miles, basically brand new, was half the price for a Turbo 4 with all-wheel drive. Half the price. And you're not getting that much more performance out of that GR Corolla than you are a new WRX. You're not. A little bit. But if you, it's marginal. Okay. It's marginal. And again, some mods or a tune on that WRX is going to, it'll void the warranty, but after the warranty is voided, yeah, you'll be fine. So here's the thing. Toyota sells those GR Corollas. When the GR Corolla came out though, there were people wanting to flip that car. It was a $50,000 car, 55 maybe, fine, 55. They were flipping that car for $100,000, $120,000. Even there were some highballs out there for like $130,000. And you might say, okay, well, those are just, they're throwing it up there for stupid numbers. No one's going to buy it. No, the problem is idiots bought them for that price. Same thing happened at Ford Bronco. The Ford Bronco is a great example of this. Car came out. People were flipping them. I even saw some locally at dealerships here for over $100,000 for like a mid-trim Bronco. Not even a Bronco Raptor. This was before the Bronco Raptor was even in existence. And it was still in development. And they were doing this. And that ruins the market. And again, social media influencers come along. They want to be the first one to have it. They're like, yeah, I'm a TikToker. We're going to talk about a TikToker here in a little bit. Might have to push that into a podcast bonus, by the way. In fact, I think we will. But anyway, doing this ruins the market for the rest of us who want to come in and buy a car at MSRP. And the whole reason MSRP even exists, manufacturer suggested retail price, the entire reason that exists is, in a way, to say, hey, this is how much we as the manufacturer think this car should sell. This is what we are saying it should sell for. A dealer might mark it up a couple of grand, but that MSRP is even built in with some dealer profit in mind. That's not, here's what the dealer buys it for, then the dealer marks it up and sells it to you. No, the dealer is not buying that car for MSRP. They're not. They are buying that car at whatever rate it is. It's a lower rate. It's going to be more of a wholesale rate. They're going to mark up the car. There's going to be a margin to it. Then they're going to sell it. And in theory, in a perfect world, which we don't live in a perfect world, we do live in a fallen world, but in a perfect world, that MSRP would already be factoring in the dealer's margin. It would already do that. And the idea, again, with that MSRP is you can look at that and say, hey, this is on the manufacturer's website. This is what they say this car should sell for. This dealer over here has it marked up for 20 grand more. No, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to go to this other dealer who's going to get me in at MSRP. Or even in my case with my Subaru, well under MSRP in some cases. And by having people buy these cars and flip them, you are saturating the market with people who are only lining up to buy the car because it's desirable. They're going to come in and buy it at MSRP, and then they're going to come along and resell it. And that's okay, fine. It's their capitalistic endeavor to resell it. Well, the problem is they are ruining the market for the other people who want to buy it at MSRP because so many people are coming in with investment money, essentially, and buying up all of the cars at MSRP. This is why some of these dealers or some of these manufacturers even have a limit on how many you can buy of these special edition cars. And they're going to all come in. It's like concert tickets. Think of it like concert tickets. And think of it like this. You buy a concert ticket to your favorite band, or say there's a band coming to town. You want to see them. And you're like, great, I'm going to go buy the tickets. You get online. You're waiting for that ticket to go on sale. You're in the queue. And the second it goes in, boop, sold out instantly, because there's even bots going in and buying these tickets. Not saying that bots are really going in and buying cars, but for the example's sake, they're going in, buying up all the tickets instantly. And then guess what? Selling them on the secondhand market. It might be a $150 ticket. They're selling it for $1,000. And you know what? That only benefits the scalpers. Nobody likes scalpers, because guess what? The concert venue, the artist, the event promoter, they're not getting that extra $1,000. They're only getting $150 of that. So that's what's going on with cars here. We need a better way to curb this. I even think we should implement some of these same restrictions for cars that aren't crazy expensive supercars. GR Corolla would have been a great example of this. So I want to, weirdly enough, I want to see more. So, hey, you're listening to the Automotive ADHD show. I'm out of time here on the radio. We're going to talk about how one lady on TikTok got a car for free. That's on the bonus show. Tune into the podcast right after this. Thanks for joining.